I think so. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's very much so. I feel like if you take out a woman,
Yeah.
you are expected to pay for sure.
But
Or I don't know if it's an expectation. I think it's a.
You're listening to Inside Young Minds, the podcast exploring the thoughts, fears, and hopes of today's youth. Let's dive in.
hello and welcome again to Inside Young Minds, a podcast where we explore the thoughts, fears, and hopes of today's youth. I am your host, Jeremy, and today I'm with a guest. And today we're going to be talking about money and masculinity. And this topic, I know it's a topic that haunts a lot of young men because they feel like they have to link their manhood to money and everything. So, with my guest today, we're going to explore that topic and see why this happens, what young men can do to feel at ease, and what we can do in general to normalize knowing that being a man doesn't always mean having money or being wealthy. So I'll let my guest introduce himself. And so, can you please tell the audience your name, what you do, or everything else you'd like us to know?
Well, my name is Issa. I am. I don't know whether my occupation is really important in this conversation, but I think
Not really.
not really. I'm a therapist, and yeah, I've known Jeremiah, I think, for a couple of years, and then we've run into each other in different places, but we have never quite got into I don't know, conversing on any deeper level. I think the
Yeah.
last time we conversed was regarding certain things, and when I heard that you were doing podcasts, I was pretty intrigued
Yeah.
because I feel like not very young people that I encounter who are into these kind of things. I mean, now it's very popular,
Yeah.
which is awesome. The exchange of ideas and being able to learn from other people. But I'm not so young.
Yeah.
I'm not so young like you guys. I mean, I'm not that old either, but I'm like in this like a limbo in age wise. So I think I have not because of my age, but I think what I am in life, I have a sort of gone over the hurdle. I like to say I'm very fortunate. So maybe I'm a little bit over the anxiety piece of money.
Yeah.
It still lingers because I have family and I have other people to take care of. So like, yeah, but if it was only me, I say it would be maybe because I don't wanna. It's not like I'm aiming to be rich and have all this money laying around. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I think that would do it for my introduction.
Yeah, well, thank you for your intro and thank you very much for being here today. And so, I mean, you obviously to a level where you are right now, being that most most of us are broke because we're young and everything. But you, we don't want to say you're broke, but we want to say that you've experienced it, you know? Because I feel like every young person goes through it. And you say you're not that young, but you're not that old either. So, you know. So, anyways, the first question I wanted to ask you today to see what you can tell us about it. Like, when you hear money and masculinity being put together, what is your thought on it? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, first of all, when you sent me an invite and you were telling me that the topic of this episode was going to be money and masculinity and the pressure of men to be able to provide, I think culturally, especially in the West, it's pretty significant. But in my personal level, that hasn't been quite the case. And I think sometimes we have to be careful because we don't want to mask the experience of other people, or we don't want to take on the pressure that other people have when it
Right.
comes to certain things in the society, and they look at the personal, because everything is relative. But I think that the pressure exists for sure. The
Right.
pressure of
Providing. and
provider
everything.
and the man, and certain things that you're supposed to meet, and a certain level of responsibility that you're supposed to take on as a man. I think that pressure exists for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Because I feel like every man grows up with that expectation. Even though when you're born, you don't really know much about it, but you start to learn it as you grow and start to um, come to understand that the society expects you to be able to provide regardless of where you are in life.
No, yeah, for sure. For sure. I think as man, you become a man because I heard this saying once. I don't know if it's a saying, but men are made into men, and the women becomes women. I don't know whether I butcher it. I don't think I um I
I was hoping you'd remember so you can tell us because I have no idea what that means.
so basically it's like there's certain things as a man that we have it to do in order for us to be able to fit that the responsibility part, you being a provider as a man,
Yeah.
instead of women. You know, I mean, once you have a child as a woman, you're already a woman.
Right.
But in societal level, I think as a man, it's not just because you this gender
Yeah.
or your sex. I think there's a more that comes into it that you have it to get to in order for you to be considered or a desirable man. So
Right.
that's what I think. That's what it means, because
There's so much that needs to be put into it.
exactly, you know,
'Cause
yeah,
you can't just say, "Hey, I have a son, so that makes me a man."
exactly.
No, it doesn't.
Exactly. I mean,
There's
that's
so
why.
much more.
And sorry, that's why they're all these, you know, deadbeat dads, or they're like all these kind of things. They're categorize certain men who might be absent, where women, there's certain things that even if they're not meeting those standards or those responsibility, they won't be called or they won't be labeled those names.
As they always say, women and children and pets are loved unconditionally.
Of
But as
course.
a man, your love comes as you provide. It's about what you bring to the table and everything. So, anyways, thinking back to when you were younger, what kind of message did you pick up about money and being a man?
Well, see, that's what I was saying. So every experience, it's personal. My experience, I mean, where I grew up, because I wasn't part of my upbringing is back home in Tanzania, and then here when I came as a teenage. So back there, from what I remember, as a kid, we did certain things to be able to make money, but it wasn't money to be able to provide it to anybody. It was just like money to be able to buy, you know, a candy, or to be able to buy, because I would say I did certain things that into this. When I look back, I can say that there is a reason that I haven't taken the path that I've taken, or I'm on the path that I am, because what I did at that time,
Right.
which I didn't realize. I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of men who were around in my life. My uncle was there. I have cousins who are older than me. They were there, but I don't think that there was a message that was preached, that was communicated to me, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. Because my grandma, I mean, who was a woman, was there to be able to provide for us. My aunties, and so there was, therefore, to say there were just like like a lot of women who were like going farming and doing all these kind of things to be able to make sure that we were eating. But
Yeah.
I think as I became a teenager, which it's being in here in the U.S., especially here in Idaho, as a man, then I realized, you know, this is the path that I have it to take, or this is the things that I have it to do, because not only that I'm gonna have a family of my own later on and make sure that I provide for them, but I have a people who needs me, whether it's
Right.
my sisters or other people also in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe everyone grows up different, and cultures are also very different. Because some places, kids grow up as long as you're a male, you start to grow up, and then you start to hear your parents or your relatives telling you you need to do this and this because when you grow up, this is going to be your responsibility. So I feel as though cultures are very different. So how one grows up is going to be different from how the other person grows up. So I think that kind of covers it.
Yeah, I can add a couple more things to that because responsibility are divided as a kids when you're growing up. Because the chores that I was given or that I knew that I had to do that I was responsible for as a boy
Yeah.
wasn't the same chores that my sisters were designated to do. They stayed home most of the time. As a boys, we could go out and come back at whatever time, but they stayed home. They washed dishes. They went and fetch water. But as a boy, we helped out with the water, and there were other things that we did, but they weren't really allowed to do. They knew their place and they would know our place. So
Right.
those are kind of, it's like, oh, okay, you have your own role to play and they have their own role to play.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. Because males and female grow up very different. They have their own responsibilities. Each and everyone has their own responsibilities. Like you said, girls from young age, they know they cannot go out and come back home anytime they like. But as a guy, I don't want to say that they don't care. I don't want to say that the family doesn't care, but they don't see much danger to it. Going out and coming anytime you want as a male. That's why it's so different, and that's why they grow up to also have different expectations and different responsibilities.
Definitely. I agree.
So let's say I want to. I know. So financially, most of us have had like the times where we had financial pressure, right? So for you personally, have you ever felt like judged or pressured into like a money situation and all that?
Of course, of course. I wasn't brought up into wealth,
Yeah.
So I mean, just like every immigrant story, and the you guys is like there has always been many times, even now still. Because I think sometimes when you expand also financially or your life differs, you take on a lot more responsibility. So it's like even though that you may not be financially pressured to not buy certain things in making different choices in what you buy, like a cheaper groceries in comparison to other things that might be more healthy.
Yeah.
But there might be a pressure in other categories of things you decide to take on. I can't quite think of a specific example, but there has been definitely many times where I have felt pressure to, financially.
Well, I think that's an obvious question because I feel like mostly everyone has had that pressure, right? And since we're talking mostly about men and young men, I feel like as you start to grow up, when you get into adulthood, as a man, you start to realize, okay, now I have so much more responsibilities. And so I need to make money so that I'm able to cover this and this. And the moment where you're not, you start to overthink it and think like, if I'm not able to cover this and this makes me less of a man, or it's not how I want people to perceive me or see me. So the pressure goes up, and then you start to struggle and find ways to change that situation. So yeah, the pressure, I feel everybody goes through it. So
No, yeah, and I wish and I hope that the advice that I can give, whether it's an advice or the way I look at it now, I feel like we should be able to be ourselves and be that we were saying that men cannot be loved unconditionally. I feel like as long as you're on the path of being able to say I am trying, I don't think I think we should be kinder to ourselves in a way, and it's hard because society is not forgiving. It's not like that to men. And it's hard because also, like, if we're not trying, or obviously it's hard for people to be able to know that we're trying or not if they're not in our lives. So it's like it's this limbo place to be in, of like, man, how do I make sure that I have enough, or I'm on the right path to be able to show it that I can provide later on, or maybe we needed some sort of like it goes me. I always go back to the community and the people we're around with. Maybe we need do we need coaches, and we need the mentorship. So people who are already a little bit older than us, they can tell us, it's okay to not have it at a certain age, because as a 19-year-old person, it's gonna be hard for you to be able to say like you need to have all this money or to be able to be thinking about providing, because now things are expensive, and in comparison to somebody who's 60 or whatever, that's what they have accumulated a lot of wealth. But
yeah, well, like you said, it's very important for younger people to be kind to themselves, because society has made it so that when you start to grow up, and as long as your age starts to bump up a little, you start to overthink things. And self-love obviously is going to help. Love yourself enough to know that you're trying, although you're not where you want to be, but you're on a path to get there. So it's not as easy as it sounds, but hey, we gotta try, right? So let's say, has there ever been a time where you thought like, I'm not where I should be financially, and it affected your confidence?
Yes. I think it's okay. Goes to what I like to think of it as stepping back and being grateful for what you have, and also not being too laid back that you're not trying or you're not moving forward. So I think there has been many times where I want to try to do these other things, or I want to try to get, because once you meet certain things, you want to advance.
Right.
That's how we are as a human in general.
You don't want to stay in one place.
You don't want to stay in one place. So therefore, to say, if it works out, if you're in the position of being able to expand a little bit financially, whether you want to take on different like a business ventures, you want to do other kind of things that's going to bring you money, but don't do it in the way, like for me, I haven't done it in the way that was forceful. I'm like, I think I compare all my successes or what I am into where things used to be before, not to what other people have.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you compare yourself to what other people have, it's kind of, that's the confidence piece that I'm talking about. So therefore, I think the confidence piece, used to be way before, when I was probably after graduation, after I graduated, and I was like, man, I need to get a job, and because getting a job is how I'm gonna be able to make money, and if I make money, I can buy a house, and if I buy a house, this is what's gonna happen. But that was sort of a forced. I think they were just like steps that society expects you to take on,
Yeah.
and it really like your confidence, your self-esteem goes down, you get depressed, you get anxious. I mean, it's just like it's a whole lot of mental health and other things that are not good for your health, for your well-being. And now I feel like I will have it told my younger self at that it's okay, man, things are gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna happen when it's time.
Well, and I feel like for me, I've been in that situation so many times that I can't even remember how many times I've been through that situation. And like you said, sometimes it's forced because you feel like, hey, I want to achieve this and I must achieve it now, you know? And one thing I've realized about younger people, we have no patience. You know, we just think that if you're working on this thing, it should be successful instantly. You know, and that's what kills most younger people when it comes to success, because we want to rush things rather than being patient.
Exactly.
You know, as they say, it's what's more important is the consistency, you know, rather than rushing things. Because as you go consistently, your things start to grow as well. You are not gonna stay in the same place if you're being consistent and you're disciplined. So I feel as young people, we tend to, you know, jump from one thing to another because we don't feel as though what we're working on in the first place is developing as fast as we want it to develop.
Exactly. And I think society or media and social media contribute to all of these things because, and that's why I go back to also like mentorship and the coaches and other people in your life who have gotten to where you're not yet, having being able to connect with those people so they can tell you it's okay to be able to slow it down. But I think technology and the social media has just created this like instant gratification. I mean, even the videos that we watch is like a short. So, or just the people we see that we follows, we admires, we see their successes. We don't see like hours and hours they put in, years and years it took for them to be able to build the platforms they have. And that's what we want. I mean, that's why people decide to take a different path, or they decide to take on a different routes because they feel like, oh, that's a way to get there faster. But I'm telling you, man, it's not. It's hard. It's hard. I don't even think I don't know if it's worth it. You know, you might not even make it there.
No, social media definitely kind of overdoes it. You know, because you will find people online also who are telling you, I can make you rich. I can help you do this and this. In 30 days, you'll be making $20,000. And most younger people will fall in that trap, you know. And when it doesn't work out, that's when they start to overthink and say, hey, this can never work out. But not knowing that it's only that you're just trying to rush it rather than being patient with it. So
yeah, it's yeah, I don't know what it is. I think for me, I have always taken maybe the long route to be able to get to where I want to be. I'll tell you an example, because when I was in graduate school, after I graduated, I took my exam, and the first time I didn't pass it. But I had at that time I was working at this agency that enforces the Fair Housing Act. It helps people who are being discriminated against on their housing. And I was making very, very small amount of money. And other places they were offering me more money. But I was like, I've been at this job for a long time and I have all these benefits, you know, I get PTOs, I get sick hours, I get all this. I haven't built the relationship. I love the job, but it was a little bit hard. I mean, it was a little bit, I would say, based on the money that I was making, it was a difficult job, having to deal with landlords and attorneys. But you know what I thought? I was like, if I take on all this new job because of this money that I'm being offered, it's gonna take my time away from being able to study for my exam. It's gonna be hard. So I was like, okay, let me just relax. I've been able to then the good thing, I was living in a place where it was cheaper, so I didn't have to worry about money that much. So maybe the people who have this pressure of I need money and I need to be able to support myself and my family, but I feel like a lot of us just want things right away. I want things now.
Yeah, the pressure is there. It's just that we make it worse.
Exactly.
We do make it worse. So, anyways, we did talk about gender roles, like how women are expected to do this and this, and men are expected to do this and this, and their responsibilities being different. So, I want to talk a little bit about dating. Just hear me out. It's just a question about it, right? Do you feel like men are still expected to pay or provide more?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's very much so. I feel like if you take out a woman, you are expected to pay for sure.
But
or I don't know if it's an expectation. I think
it's more of a standard. And
yeah, I think there's something, because if I take out a woman, there's no way in my head, unless if we're a friend. But if it's somebody that I feel like I have an interest in, even if we're not dating, but it's like I just wanna tell them how I feel about them, I'm gonna pay.
I don't know. I don't think. Well, I know that some men may be able to, be like split the bill and all that, because I've seen videos and stuff where that happens, right? But I feel like men in general are expected to pay the first date.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it's just that one time I heard this guy say that whoever initiated the date should be paid, and most of the time, anyways, it's the men that will invite a woman out.
Do you think whoever initiated, that's kind of interesting, whoever initiated the date should pay?
Do I?
What do you think?
Well, okay. See, now when I heard about this, I found it very interesting, and I feel like there was some credits to it, right?
Okay.
Because I feel also the reason that was said is because, like, if you ask someone out, you should be able to pay because you're the one who asked them out, right? But me myself, I don't think I would be able to let the woman pay. I don't think I'd be able to just say, okay,
Jeremiah, indulge me. Why
I wouldn't be able to?
Yeah.
Because look, personally, okay, I go out with my friends as well, and never once have I ever like felt like telling someone to pay. Even when I go out with my guy friends, right? If you want to pay, go for it. But I'm not gonna pressure you into paying. If I can afford it, I got it.
But you see, then I think that goes back to the cultural piece, because that's how I am with my friend.
Yeah.
But here in this country, I've went out with, colleagues, people who later on maybe we became friends.
Yeah.
We always separated the bill.
Right.
They say they verbalize, but I don't mind paying, because it's like I expect you to do the same thing sometime, not me telling you to do it.
Yeah.
But see, if I'm doing it today, I'm not saying like it's gonna be 50-50, but it's because I feel like today I can do it, and I hope that you're gonna have you're gonna put the same consideration in someday.
Right. Maybe someday you feel like, okay, maybe I should pay.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like nobody's going to pressure you into paying. But like I feel like it's a sense of responsibility,
Yeah.
So
but in this country, that's not how it is.
You know what? I have seen places where I've gone out with people where they say everyone pays for themselves.
Like, if it's a large group, I understand, because you don't want to pay for, you don't want to take on a bill that's like
$1,000.
$70.
No. You don't want to do that, obviously,
because you don't have the money laying around like that.
No.
But when it's two people, I've seen that, like when it's two people, like say, oh yeah, we're gonna have a separate bills.
Yeah,
like, I can pay for your meal today, and then
yeah. Well. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about social media. I feel like every episode I have here, there's always going to be social media involved, because I feel like younger people are it's kind of centered around young people. You know, so social media makes everything look perfect. Obviously, you know, the cars, you know, vacations, lifestyles. Do you feel like that creates extra pressure for younger people?
Of course, that's why we should be wise consumerism, or whether that's the way to say it.
Consumers.
Consumers.
Yeah.
I think that's why we should be like. Obviously, it's just. I mean, everything. It's all around us. People have TikToks, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. WhatsApp now is kind of like a new social media.
Yeah.
It's like you have it to pick your battle, man. I got rid of my Instagram when I was in college because it was like very destructive.
Yeah.
And also you go there, man, everything is like very curated and perfect in its form, and everyone is happy. There's some people who post a little bit depressing, but most of people they post the happy moments. And if you see that
struggle moments.
Yeah,
nobody ever posts
there was one time this guy said, do not compare your life to one Instagram photo.
Yeah,
because that person probably took, it's a photographer here, he took probably 100 photos, and that person
chose one,
and then you're gonna compare your whole life, and that's what we do. And I don't know why.
I mean, I think it's more of what we consume online that makes us feel this way, because obviously if you see someone who's living a wealthy life, see those flashy cars online, you're gonna want to be like that too. So the question I wanted to ask you while we close, so it's gonna be like this question and then another question and then we'll be done. Yeah. So a lot of men hide their financial situations, their struggles, instead of talking about it. So have you ever felt the need to hide your financial struggles and not talk about it because you felt ashamed?
Yeah, at some point, because we all try to compare ourselves to other people, and I think a lot of people exaggerate their financial situations. So there is you feel like you don't want to share it because either you feel like you're making less than them, or you don't have as much money as them.
Someone who has more than
exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like there has been a time in my life when I didn't want to talk about it, but now that I'm grown, I feel like I don't talk about it because of different reasons, but not because that I'm ashamed of it.
Yeah, and for younger people, obviously the one thing I've noticed is that younger people, when they have money, they will talk about it.
Exactly.
Because they want everyone to know. But when they don't have it, they're not going to talk about it because they feel like they're going to be shamed and everything. So...
anyway. No, definitely, I agree with you.
Yeah, before the camera turns off, coming to a close and finishing. For young men who are listening right now and feel like they're less of a man, just because they don't have money, what advice or encouragement would you give them?
I think what I would say to them maybe is what I would have told my younger self.
Yeah.
As long as they're trying and they're on the path and they're moving, I think that's all matters, because the later on success, or the later on fruitfulness that comes out of something, is the accumulation of the little things you're doing today.
Right.
So if you not have the things lined up and the goals and the things you're moving towards, maybe you need to straighten up. But if you have those things and you're moving towards it, I think you should be fine.
Yeah, it's a good advice to those who are going to listen to it and take it. Because I feel like as long as you have something going on for yourself, then you're fine. You're better than someone who's just sitting there hoping for a miracle.
No, definitely.
So get something started for yourself. It doesn't have to be the biggest thing in the world. It just has to be something that will make you progress.
Definitely.
You know? And also stay disciplined and stay consistent.
Is the
Because
key.
consistency is the key to every successful person. Everyone who's ever been successful is because they've been consistent. Don't try to do something today and it doesn't work out a month later and you leave it because it didn't work out in 1 month. Because there are those who work on things for years, you know, but because they're still consistent, they end up working out, you know.
Definitely.
So don't give up on something just because it hasn't worked out in 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month or 2 months. You know, as I always say, you will not know how hard successful or how sweet success is until you've struggled to actually get that success.
No, definitely.
So don't feel like you're too behind because you're just going at your own pace, and your own pace is the best pace to go on.
Definitely. Yeah, and they compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Don't compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, this apply with any kind of things in life. If you are exercising, the intensity more likely it doesn't matter, but the consistency of exercise is the results that you get to see. But you can go in the workout, 8 hours a day, like every month. That's not gonna, like your body's not even gonna be able to keep up with it. But if you do 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 times a week, you're gonna see the results.
Yeah, there are people who stay in the gym 2 hours.
Right.
And go to the gym like twice a week. But someone who's only doing 45 to an hour,
Right.
and they're doing it consistently, they're going 4 or 5 times a week, they get better results and they see results faster because they're consistent. But it's not about the heaviness or how heavy you lift or how much you lift. It's about how consistent you are. So with success, it's the same way. You have to be consistent rather than trying to force things and rush things. Be patient, because if you're not patient, you're never going to see success. That's it. That's the one thing I can tell you. You're never going to see success unless if you're willing to be patient.
Definitely.
So
I would say one last thing
Yeah.
is that, and I know we're finishing up here.
yeah.
I have heard this. I didn't read it, but I've heard it from some of the. They're kind of cliche, like motivational speakers. I don't listen to them, but
Yeah.
like some of the things they quote from the books, like success. It goes back to what I was saying. Like as long as you have something for you set up, and you have, because if you don't have a goal aligns or you don't have things you're moving towards, then you confused in the way. So if you have something you going towards, and some day it's gonna be 2 steps forward, 1 step backward.
Yeah.
Don't be discouraged by that 1 step backwards.
Yeah.
It's gonna the slowness, the little by little of every day is what's gonna get you to where you wanna be.
Yeah, and I feel like there's so much to talk about on this topic. Just won't be able to do it today because the camera has been playing with my heart today. So we're not gonna be able to cover everything today. But I feel like we have covered enough for those who are wise enough to listen.
Definitely, yeah.
So if you're listening to this and it helped you out, subscribe or send it to someone else who you know or thinks that it can help. And after that, we'll see where we go. But thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you being here. It was amazing and nice hearing your advice and hearing your perspective on things. So I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for having me,
I
Jeremiah.
appreciate it. Yeah. But anyways, for those listening, you know how we do it here. We're exploring the young minds. So listen to this, send it to people who need to hear it, because as young people, we need to help each other out, listen to each other, advise each other, because something I don't know, you know, something you don't know, I know. I don't know everything, you don't know everything, but we can all help each other out. But anyways, as always, keep on growing, but we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for watching or listening to Inside Young Minds. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow and share it with someone else who might need it. You can also find us on Instagram at inside_youngminds for updates and behind the scenes. Now, there's new episodes every week, but until next time, take care of yourself and keep on growing.